Hello everyone. Okay, in this video we will start doing a project that allow us to have a tank game. So there will be a few tanks. So how are we going to start off? So first of all, you need to go into the Unity Hub. Once you are ready, you can click on the new and make sure it's a 3D project. The project name is, in our case, we're going to call it tank, and this is the location where I'm going to save it inside my drive. And then when I go and click create. So while it's loading, I would like to show you where I'm going to get my tank model. This is the location where I got it. You can find this model for use. You can see this is the Creative Commons attribution that you can use it. Then okay, so once you have downloaded it, you'll be like me. I have already have this inside my drive, and after I have unzipped and then I got it out, I will use this in this current project. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag this PNG file, which is the texture, into our assets. Okay, next I'm going to drag in our tank model into our asset. Okay, now you can see inside my game project, now I have these two assets. So I'm going to rename this one to help us know that this is the tank model, and we have a tank texture here. So I'm going to rename this as a tank texture. So now looking at this, okay, we are ready to start. Beside that, I'm going to go inside the scene. The scene folder will be the scene that by default it has created for us. So I'm going to right click, rename this scene to the game scene. Okay, so this will help us know that this is the scene for the game. Let me come out to the asset. Okay, so we're ready now. So in here there's two ways to create game object onto the scene. First, you can click on game object at the top here, click create empty. The other way is directly under the game scene. You can right click, click on the create empty. Okay, so this is the first game object. I'm going to create this hero. Okay, will be our main character that we'll be using. So what it will do is that currently it's just an empty game object. There's nothing inside. So I'm going to drag this model and place it inside this hero game object. If you drag below it, you can see it's onto the game scene, which is not where we want it to be. We're going to drag it into the hero. So now you can see that's inside there. And I am going to select the game hero. Okay, make sure I'm selecting the correct one. You can see now this is the hero. This is the tank model. You can see it from the inspector. Make sure you select the tank model, and we're going to scale it down to 30% for both X and Y, and also the Z axis. So now you can become smaller. So to zoom in, okay, you can use your mouse scroller. You can zoom in and out. The other one is that you can move around the camera. Okay, you can by clicking on the click and hold on the scroller button, you can shift it around. And if you use the right click button, you click and hold, you can see you can pan around the camera. So this is how I'm gonna zoom in to see my hero tank. Currently is at this size. Okay, next what we're gonna do is that currently this tank has no texture, so I'm going to drag this tank texture onto the model. Make sure you select the tank model first and click the tank texture, and then you see there's this icon. Okay, make sure the icon is gonna drop it onto it. Okay, so I'm going to release. You can see now my tank has the texture, and this create a new folder inside the asset called the material. And the material, if I double click in, you can see this is the tank texture. I'm going to rename this. Okay, I'm going to call this my hero material. Okay, and this hero material, you can see the main map here. I'm going to have a theme. By default it's white, and I'm going to set it to a yellow tint, so it looks kind of greenish now. So I have a green hero tank. And later I'm going to create for another character, which is our enemy. I'm going to right click, create material. This one we're going to rename this as the enemy material. Okay, by default it's white. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag this tank texture. Okay, go back to the game asset. Okay, I'm going to drag this texture. First I must select this, make sure it's in the inspector. Go back to the asset. We'll drag this texture into here. Okay, you can see now the texture is attached here, and I'm going to change this to a little bit pinkish on layering, so it turns somewhat purplish. Okay, now I'm going to duplicate this, and I'm going to rename this as my enemy. Okay. Okay. So now I have an enemy that is here. I'm going to change the material to purple. So let's make sure I'm selecting the tank model inside the enemy, and I'm going to drag it here. So now I select the enemy and I'm going to shift it out. You see side by side. Now I have a green tank and a enemy tank that is purple. Okay. So you can see both this hero and enemy currently they are all individual. Okay, if I were to click on play, okay, you can see it is not doing anything. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to add physics into this A tank and B tank. Okay, now I'm going to add select the hero, add a component, go add this thing called the rigid body to the hero, and I'm going to add the second component is the box collider. Okay. Same for this. I'm going to add the hero. I'll make sure I'm selecting the enemy, selecting the oh, you can see now I'm selecting the model, which is not supposed to be. You can see I need to remove the component. Okay, I must make sure I'm selecting the hero instead of the tank model inside, and add the component to the box collider, and then I'm going to add another one is the rigid body. Okay. Same for this. You select the enemy, make sure in the inspector is the enemy, go add the rigid body, and I'm going to add a box collider. Okay, so you can see now the box collider is a bit strange. You can see this, it's actually, the box is actually at the bottom. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select edit collider. Okay, I'm going to use the camera to Z, and you can see now because its perspective is very difficult to see, I'm going to click on this perspective again to change the perspective. Okay, now it's flat. Yeah, so I'm going to shift this up here, shift this, and go put it here for left and right. And then I'm going to go to the X. Okay, make sure it's a little bit here. This one shift it a bit. Okay, so my hero bounding box is now ready. I'm going to select the enemy one. Enemy, go edit the collider, shift it here, and shift it here. Go move it here, and move it here. And go select the Z axis. Edit the bounding box. Okay, shift it here, and shift it here. Okay, so now when I'm ready, I'm going to click on play. You see my tanks drop to the ground. Okay, so now both my tank, because of gravity in the rigid body, the rigid body is mainly for all the gravity, kinematics, and all this movement, the physics in the game world. The other one is the collider, which is used for collision detection. So this is the two component that will be heavily used, especially in the 3D world and other games. So what I'm going to do now, next part, is to add a plane at the bottom. So I'll go to GameObject, 3D object, and add a plane. Okay, so now I'm going to select this. You see, now I have a plane that is on top here. I'm going to shift it down. Okay, when I'm ready, I'm going to click play. You see now, my tank drop on it and it doesn't fall off the ground. So that's it. Okay, this is the starting. In the next video, we'll touch on how to create prefabs, and also subsequently we'll start to build more and more things in this game environment. Okay, thank you everyone. Hope to see you in our next video. Bye bye.